Before we start the summit, I would like to introduce Leila Faye, our professional violinist. She's going to sing a song for us. Please give her a big round of applause. So you can please take a seat and we can hear from Leila, please. Thank you very much, Leila. That was amazing. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Croydon Property and Housing Summit 2026. Thank you for joining us today. This event has taken a lot of time and effort to organise. There are two special persons that's put a lot of effort into it. It's Ben and Rico. They've worked days and nights to make it happen. I'd like to start with a joke about how this all started. Ben came to me to say that he thinks Rico got an hearing problem. He can't hear properly. So he said, what should I do? I said, well, you should talk to him to the point that he can understand that he cannot hear you. So Ben went to Rico and said to Rico, Rico, do you think we should organise a property and Croydon Housing Summit? Nothing. Went nearer to him again, said, Rico, do you think we should organise a Croydon Property and Housing Summit? Nothing. Came to his ears and said, Rico, do you think we should organise a Croydon and Property Housing Summit? Rico turned around and said, for the third time, I said, yes. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ben and Rico to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brendan Silverton, and I'm the chairman of Croydon Business Association. What an incredible sight to see so many people from across Croydon and beyond in one room, all because we believe in the future of this borough. A few years ago, the Croydon Business Association began with a simple idea. Businesses need a voice. Not a voice that only spoke when things went wrong, but a voice that could bring people together, create opportunities, and help shape the future of Croydon. A voice that believed business is not separate from the community, it is part of it. When businesses succeed, jobs are created, high streets become vibrant, families prosper. young people see opportunity without having to look elsewhere. That's why we're here. Today's summit is about far more than bricks and mortar. Property is where businesses are born, it's where families put down roots, it's where communities grow. Every planning decision, every investment, every regeneration project shapes the lives of people who may never attend a council meeting in their life, but will live with those decisions for decades. Croydon has had its challenges. We all know that. But history doesn't have to define our future. Around this borough, you can already see momentum building. New investment, new ideas, new partnerships. People choosing to believe in Croydon again. And belief matters, because every major regeneration project starts with someone deciding that tomorrow can be better than today. Today brings together the people who can make it happen in this room. People who don't just talk about change, but have the ability to deliver it. So I encourage you today, ask questions, challenge ideas, exchange business cards, start conversations. I'd like to thank Croydon Council for supporting today's event, our speakers for giving their time and expertise, our sponsors and partners for believing in this vision, and every member of our team and volunteers who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make today possible. The decisions we make, the relationships we build, and the ambitions we share today will help shape the Croydon that future generations inherit. Let's make sure it's a borough that we're all proud to call home. Thank you for being here and enjoy the summit.
Thank you, Dan. Wonderful, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Croydon Property and Housing Summit 2026. First, I simply want to say thank you. Thank you to Croydon Council team. Thank you for our speakers. Thank you for our partners that help us to deliver this event. But most importantly, thank you for giving us your time and your trust. And that deserves a round of applause. I want to answer one simple question. Why this event? Why we are here? Weeks of planning, hours of meetings, phone calls, email, stress and frustration. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rico. I'm one of the directors of Croydon Business Association, and our mission is simple: to unite, connect and support our business community. But there is something even bigger that matters to me personally: Croydon's reputation. For too long, when people hear the word Croydon, they think about the problems before they think about opportunities. And that affects people whether they want to visit here, work here, start a business in here, or invest in here. That is why today one purpose is connected Croydon vision, Croydon future with people that can deliver, and that is you. Today is not only about listening to speakers. It's not only about exchanging business cards. Today is about asking, how can my business, my experience, my ideas, and my network become part of Croydon's future? That's why we created the business profile form. Tell us who you are, tell us what your business does, tell us the council team how you can collaborate for better Croydon. Because Croydon's transformation, ladies and gentlemen, is bigger than building another block of flats. It's bigger than building new homes or changing a few buildings. Buildings can change the skyline, yes, but we, people, change the town. When we create opportunities, when we organize activities and events that empower the change, when young people can see a future here. So, maybe it's time to stop complaining about Croydon reputation, and maybe it's time to recognize Croydon potential. And maybe it's time to stop asking, what can Croydon do for us? And start the better question, what can we do for Croydon? Today we have the council team and we have you. Now we need to connect the two. So please, don't leave today with only another business card. Leave with a conversation, leave with a connection, leave with an opportunity. And together we can build a Croydon that people are proud to visit, proud to invest in, proud to work in, and most importantly, proud to call home. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rico. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Now we start our summit by welcoming, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome our keynote speaker, Howard Dover, Deputy Mayor for Business and Growth at London Mayor.
Thank you very much, Umesh, and thanks also Ben, Enrico and Renu, who's been absolutely dogged in making sure that I came to this event. She's been following me around London making sure I came. So you know her. You've got a very strong advocate here. I'm really pleased to be here because I'm told that from next week all London events from now on are going to have to be held in Manchester. So I'm really pleased we managed to get this one in before everything changes. And it's fantastic that you've organised this summit. We are huge supporters of our business improvement districts, our local chambers of commerce and business organisations like this across London, because shared experience, working together, finding out that you have complementary businesses that can come together to win bigger contracts, to do things for each other, to sell to each other, is absolutely the lifeblood of London. And our small and medium-sized businesses in London, not only do they make 99% of all the businesses we have, but they employ more than half of all of our fellow Londoners. So small and medium-sized businesses really are the lifeblood of our city. And I know somebody said we've got visitors from London here today, and it's true, Croydon is a place in its own right. It's got all the characteristics of the city. If it was a city, it would be bigger than some of the famous cities around the UK, bigger than places like Cambridge, bigger than places like Bristol. It's a big place, but it is also part of London, and we're very, very proud of that. And being its own place and part of London is, I think, what gives Croydon its very special potential, because you can do things in Croydon that you can't do in some of our other boroughs. And that's why I've been a frequent flyer to Croydon. Really pleased to be here with my friend, Mayor Jason Perry. We together worked on the Mayor's Growth Plan, which was published last year. It seems like a long time ago, actually. A year is a long time in economics and politics. But we published the Growth Plan together because we were determined to make sure that this wasn't something that was party political, it was cross-party lines, but also that it worked both for the city as a whole and the Mayor of London, and also the boroughs. So it's jointly produced with the councils and the Mayor, and working very closely with the business community to make sure we had a plan that was a long-term plan, that was realistic but ambitious. And also, I was here for the launch of Croydon's own growth plan. And in the forward to that, we said the Mayor of London is committed to working with Croydon and boroughs across the capital through the London Growth Plan to drive inclusive and sustainable growth. With Croydon's strong existing infrastructure, a major investment plan at its centre, London has a huge and major role to play in London's future growth and will transform significantly over the next decade. And we stand by that because the potential here in Croydon, as well as all the good things that are already happening, is enormous. Now, in the growth plan, we talk about inclusive and sustainable growth, and that really means two very simple things. What is the point of growth? Why do we want to see growth in London's economy? The only reason is to make life better for the people who live in our city. So we want to see improved living standards and better life chances for everyone. And that means inclusive growth. So we're doing quite well right now on some of our growth centres. In fact, just this year, we have overtaken New York in terms of the number of unicorn businesses from our city. We are very much now in direct competition with New York for where is the business capital of the world. On some things we're way ahead. So on legal we're way ahead, on insurance we're way ahead, on hedge funds we're way ahead. We're now ahead on tech, we think. 150 so far, unicorn businesses. These are the things like Revolut that start, with a few people around the table, they get venture capital funding, they grow to over £1 billion, they end up with their own tower with their name on the roof. We've got 150 of those in London, 13 so far this year, and that 13 is more than some European countries have ever had. So in that tech space, we're doing really well. On film and TV, believe it or not, we're now the number 3 location in the world for film and TV production. And if you've been to the Whitgift Centre recently, where they filmed Taylor Swift's video for Opalite, and you can actually ride those, they're not even charging you to ride the escalators, but you should get charged to ride up and down the escalators. But also, with film studios, with the whole supply chain of the film industry, we're number 3 centre in the world now for film and TV production. One in 5 of the jobs in our city is in that creative sector. So if your kids say, "Oh, I really want a job in the movies," that's a genuinely realistic proposition in London now. Now that's one of the economy. The inclusive bit is making sure that everybody has access to that. So at the same time, we need to make sure that all areas of London are seeing economic growth. Now, it won't all be the same sort of growth in every region. And this is why it's very important to work with local authorities on what is the right sort of growth to have in an area like Croydon. And also it means all the people. So it means whatever your background, whatever your starting point, that through education and training and opportunity and access to opportunity, you get the chance to work with some of those sectors that are growing. And that might be directly getting a job in those sectors, or it might be having a business that supports those sectors and can supply those sectors. So that's what we mean by inclusive growth. We've actually set a target of growing the economy by 20%, but also raising the incomes of the least well-off Londoners, the least well-off 20% of Londoners by 20% as well. So we've got a poverty reduction target there. And sustainable means we're going to stick to our net zero commitments, because actually that's driving a lot of jobs and investment in our city. While other parts of the world may be turning their back on that, actually we've done very well. 25% of all our inward investment is into sustainable industries now. So we've got a really thriving sustainable industry sector in this city, and we want to grow that. But we also want to make it economically sustainable. And that means investing in things like infrastructure for the long term. Now, we've done a few things since the growth plan, and some of these are going to be policy, and I want you to know that I do not mistake policy documents for delivery. Policy documents are the frameworks through which we deliver things, but just because we've announced a lot of policies doesn't mean we're necessarily delivering, but we are delivering. But I'll tell you some of the planks of this. One is the inclusive talent strategy. And as I said, the way to get our people into the jobs that are coming, and that we have now, is by making sure they are trained properly. So that's a £147 million plan to revitalise the skills system and make sure that people are actually getting work-ready qualifications and skills as they come through the system. We've brought employers into the heart of the system. So we've brought your colleagues, your people from each sector, whether that's hospitality or construction or social care or life sciences, directly into the thing and said, tell us what you want, tell us what you need in terms of skills, where the skills gaps are, and we'll make sure the colleges, where we're delivering adult skills, that actually deliver people with those skills and qualifications to meet your needs. And in some cases that's meant set up whole new courses. So yesterday we announced an £88 million package of skills on construction, because there's a lot of construction going on. Not so much in house building, obviously as this is a property summit, we know that house building isn't where we want it to be. And really, without improvements in interest rates, without some cuts in interest rates, things are going to still be really hard in the house building business. But on civil engineering, where we've got some massive projects going on, some more coming, on commercial development, there's a lot going on in London. And we actually have some skills gaps. Post-Brexit, a lot of people who were working in that sector went home, and they haven't yet been replaced. And actually, we're a bit fortunate, we haven't had a big house building boom in one sense, which is that we don't have the people to fill those jobs if that were to happen. So we're working very hard at building the next generation of skills for construction workers. I was on site yesterday, actually being taught how to drive a road roller, and I can tell you I'm not going to get a job in construction anytime soon. I didn't crash it, but I did run over something I shouldn't have run over. It wasn't the person, that's right. But we are, like I said, we're bringing employees to the heart of that to make sure we do that. The second thing we've done is the infrastructure framework. So for years we've had lists of things that would be really nice to have in London if only we had the money to do it. This time we changed that. So we have a list of, here's the projects we need, and it's not a wish list, it's a to-do list. And so the question then becomes how, not if, but how. And within that we've got 4 big transport projects. One is extending the DLR to Thamesmead. The second is completing the London Overground with the West London Orbital Link, which will make a big difference on the west side of London. The third is extending the Bakerloo line to Lewisham, which will be very good for Croydon and some connections as well, and potentially take some pressure off the main line. And then Crossrail 2. Crossrail 2 goes from southwest to northeast across London, crossing over Thameslink and crossing over Crossrail 1, and it goes through Euston and relieves a lot of the pressure at Euston. We're now talking to central government about how we use, for example, the money generated by property to help deliver those big projects and to get them underway. The other thing we've done is we've expanded our programme of Grow London Local, a supporter today. Grow London Local is our one-stop shop to work with small and medium-sized companies to provide access to support and advice. And at one end, it's a club. So you sign up, you're part of now a community of 45,000 companies across London. We're now the biggest single group of SMEs across London. We're aiming to get to probably 100, 200,000 when we're finished, but we're slowly bringing people in. So there's really good networking like this, not replacing this but alongside it. There's now access to advice on where to get funding for your business, where to get training, where to get support on things like exporting, and we work closely with the Chambers of Commerce and business organisations like this to make sure that there's a one-stop shop for working with government. The next stage of that is procurement, and this is something that's been in the news last week, is buy British, but we want to buy London, including Croydon. So when we go out to tender, when, for example, Transport for London goes out for a tender for a project, we want to make sure we've got a London option in there. And that means supporting businesses like the people in this room, where you've got a service or a product that could be sold to the public sector to help you get on the tender lists. We want to be completely biased in your favour to get you on the list. Once you're in the system, you have to compete on price and quality like everybody else. But sometimes that tendering process can be really off-putting and daunting. And what's meant to create a level playing field sometimes excludes smaller businesses. We're determined that more of London's money, when we spend it, should stay in London. We spend over £20 billion a year, just the Mayor's Office. If you add in all the boroughs, that goes up by another 20 billion. If you add in the NHS, that goes up by another 20 billion. If you add in all the government, central government expenditure in London, guess what? It's another 20 billion. It's £100 billion of public money spent in London. Now, if more, well, yes, but if more of that goes to London businesses, to Croydon businesses, to Croydon SMEs, then I will be very happy. Because it's what we used to call, when I worked in the East End, double bubble. You have to spend the money anyway, you want to get the thing, whether that's a service or a product. We might as well spend it locally, then that money stays in London. And the people who run those businesses, and the people who work in those businesses, then have more money to spend. But not only that, they've then got, whether you're a cleaner or a catering contractor, or you're providing, I don't know, car services, whatever it is, when you're then on the client list for the Mayor of London, when you go to your next potential customer and go, oh, well, we do this for the Met Police, or we do this for Transport for London, or we do this for the NHS, that's going to help you get the next business. So it's triple bubble. So we want to spend a lot more of our money on local, smaller companies, and we work very hard, not just to get you on the picture list, but to make the projects smaller in size so that local businesses can actually get them. So that will be working through Croydon and local. And then finally on our business support, artificial intelligence. If you have kids in school at the moment or kids at university, you'll know that a lot of our young people are quite worried about what's coming in terms of, are the robots coming for our jobs? And in fact, about half of all students have thought about changing their course to do something that is more either in the AI space or is more AI proof. So there's a lot of concern out there. Now we think, over time, partly because all that tech stuff, London is one of the places AI is actually being developed. So we're one of the world centres of the AI businesses. And people from moving from, for example, for America, so Anthropic, Google, Meta, Salesforce have moved big operations into London because we're one of the best places to develop AI. We think over time it will grow the economy, create whole new sectors that don't currently exist, and create new jobs. But in the meantime, there's going to be a lot of change. We want to make sure we take everybody with us through that change. So, and this is cutting edge. We're one of the first cities in the world to do it. We will be coming out very soon, this year, to offer every single business free AI training. This will be basically everything you want to know about AI but haven't been able to ask. It will be the introductory, this is what it means, this is where it could work for you, this is where it could be helpful, this is where it could be a danger, and this is what you can do about it. And then signposting people say if you actually want to get into there and implementing AI in your business, where you go to get that support. Because we want every business to be ready. Many of you are already there. But a lot of people don't know where to start. We want to make sure everybody has a good starting point. And then we support that with ongoing work. And the Mayor's actually allocated £12 million for that, and we're working up the materials right now, so this will happen very quickly. The last thing I want to say was that genuinely Croydon has the most amazing opportunities. The Crick Institute, all the knowledge quarter around King's Cross, where those businesses like Anthropic and others have set up their headquarters. That's half an hour away. Yeah, if you're in Sheffield or Leeds and you're looking at Croydon, you're going, they've got everything. Croydon's got every single opportunity. They're so close to central London, they've got the fast railway lane in. If you have a business in Croydon, the streets are paved with gold. The opportunities are here. We need to make sure that we link those up, and we see Croydon as part of the London ecosystem, as well as all those special characteristics it has as an ecosystem in its own right. And so on behalf of the Mayor, I can't call him Sir Steve anymore, the Lord Khan of Tooting, first of his name, King of the Andals, and the first, whatever titles now, the Lord Khan. On behalf of the Lord Khan and everybody at City Hall, working very closely together with our friends in Croydon, led by Mayor Jason, we're determined to make sure that Croydon reaches all of its potential and that your businesses continue to be successful and grow. With that, thank you very much for having me. Have a fantastic conference.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you very much for sharing London vision with us. And thank you very much for coming all the way down. Our next speaker needs very little introduction, but I will introduce him anyway. Please welcome Executive Mayor of Croydon, Jason Perry.
It's all got very quiet.
Scared of you?
Anticipation, that's what I like to hear, Maddie. Good morning, Croydon, how are we? Are we feeling good? This is a very powerful room, so it's a pleasure to be here today and a pleasure to join you at the Croydon Property and Housing Summit. And a big thank you to Croydon Business Association for bringing us together. To Homebridge Group for sponsoring today's event, and to everyone involved in organising it. And a big thank you to Howard for taking the time to come to Croydon. I know it's his second home really, he loves being in Croydon, so it's always a pleasure to have Howard here, and big thank you to all of our speakers today. The theme of this summit is connecting vision with delivery, and that's exactly the conversation that Croydon needs. We have businesses, investors, developers, housing associations, financiers, and professional advisors in the same room as the people responsible for shaping the borough's future. This is intended to be a practical morning. You will hear clearly from the council about our priorities, our development pipeline, and the opportunities ahead. And in return, we want to hear what you can bring to Croydon, where you see potential and what you need from us to turn a good conversation into a live project. And as someone who runs my own local business, I do understand the commercial realities and how tough it is out there right now. Investment decisions are not made because the council produces an attractive brochure, though we do have a really good one here, which you may see on your tables. A development cannot proceed on goodwill alone. The numbers have to work. Risk has to be properly understood. Investors need certainty, developers need viable schemes, and every organisation represented here needs to see a return. There's nothing wrong with saying that plainly. Commercial return is what attracts capital, gets projects funded, and turns ideas into buildings, homes, jobs, and thriving places. The council cannot guarantee anyone a return, and it should not pretend that it can. But what we can do is create the conditions in which good investment can succeed. That means a stable and competent council that understands business. It means clear priorities, constructive relationships, and sensible conversations about viability. It means clean streets, safe neighbourhoods, good infrastructure, and attractive public spaces. It means understanding that pace and certainty matter when people are putting their own money or their clients' money at risk. Croydon has the fundamentals to deliver that return in abundance. We are 15 minutes from central London, 15 minutes from Gatwick. We sit on one of the most important growth corridors in the country, connecting the capital with an international airport and wider southeast. We have nearly 400,000 residents, one of the youngest populations in London and one of the most diverse communities in the UK. We have more than 16,000 businesses, around 140,000 daily visitors, and a large skilled workforce. We have major employers, anchor institutions, excellent transport connections, and strong financial services, healthcare, education, logistics, construction, engineering, digital, and creative sectors. Most importantly, we have scale. Croydon has the population, the footfall, the demand, and the development opportunities to support serious investment. This is a borough where momentum is returning, whilst there remains considerable headroom for further value to be created. That is a compelling point in the investment cycle. In the last 4 years, more than £1.2 billion of public and private investment has been secured in Croydon. That is real money being committed by organisations that have examined the fundamentals and decided that this borough is worth backing. Our business base is growing too. GoDaddy's recent research found that Croydon experienced a 24% increase in micro-business numbers in a single year, ahead of the rest of London and the third highest increase in the country. Croydon has always had an entrepreneurial streak. People come here to start businesses, take risks, employ people and build something of their own. My first term as mayor was about restoring confidence, strengthening governance and putting the borough back on track, restoring pride in our borough. That work is well underway. The council is more stable, services are improving, regeneration is moving again and investor confidence is returning. My second term is about accelerating delivery. We are working to make Croydon cleaner, safer, more attractive and easier to invest in. We want to unlock sites, bring forward homes, renew commercial space and create town and district centres that reflect how people now live, work and spend their time. That starts with getting the basics right. The condition of the public realm affects the value of an investment. The walk from the station matters. The experience of a prospective tenant, customer, employee or resident matters. That's why we're taking the zero tolerance approach to fly tipping, graffiti, illegal trading, antisocial behaviour and environmental crime. Crime across Croydon fell by 4.1% in the last year. In the town centre, reports of antisocial behaviour have fallen by 24% over 3 years. Since 2023, knife crime is down 24%, personal robbery is down 29%, and burglary is down 19%. That's a good record, but there's much more to do, and the direction is changing. A safer and better managed Croydon is good for residents and good for investment. We're also providing practical help through Croydon Means Business, and our team is just over here, wave, there they are. That includes shop improvement grants, empty unit activation, business rates relief and our business concierge service, which gives businesses a clearer route through the council. I know how frustrating it is when bureaucracy delays a decision or nobody appears willing to take ownership of a problem. Capital goes where it is welcomed and treated seriously. We want investors to see Croydon Council as a constructive partner that understands commercial reality. The opportunities are already visible. Orders Parade has brought new life and activities to North End, showing what can be achieved by combining heritage, creativity, commercial use and a fresh approach to vacant space. The North End Quarter, including the future of Whitgift, Central and the Orders Building, represents one of London's most significant regeneration opportunities. Its future will be mixed use, bringing together homes, shops, restaurants, leisure, culture, workspaces and better public spaces. There are opportunities around Surrey Street, College Green, Minster, East and West Croydon, Purley and across our district centres. And housing will be central to this. Croydon has strong and sustained demand for homes, including affordable homes, family housing, starter homes, later living accommodation and well-designed homes close to transport and employment. Our approach must be grounded in what can actually be delivered. Sites have to be viable. Infrastructure must support growth. Planning needs to be clear and responsive. New housing should strengthen communities and help sustain shops, leisure venues and local services. So today, please use this opportunity. Ask questions, introduce your organisations. Tell us what you do, what you can finance, what you can build and where you think you can help. The collaboration forms on the tables will be considered by the relevant council teams, with Croydon Business Association helping to make the right introductions. We want the conversation started here to lead to meetings, partnerships and projects. Croydon has history, heart and hustle. It also has the hard commercial fundamentals that matter to investors: location, connectivity, scale, demand, talent and opportunity. My first term was about putting Croydon back on track. My second term is about making Croydon impossible to ignore. For those prepared to look closely at Croydon and understand its potential, the opportunity for a strong commercial return is considerable. So bring us your ideas, bring us your experience, bring us your investment. Let us connect vision with delivery and build Croydon's next chapter together. Lots done, lots more to do. This is our time. Croydon is on the march. Let's do it in partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pesutao. Thank you for your leadership and your vision for Croydon. Now how Councillor Linghale, she's from the House. Sorry, she's from the Cabinet Member for Homes.
House of the Croydon.
Thank you very much indeed, and a very good morning to everybody. Thank you from me to all of you for being here today. Thank you for what you already do, and thank you for what you will be doing to help shape the future of our borough. Housing has for some time been one of the biggest issues facing Croydon. It affects our economy, our health, our communities, and ultimately the opportunities available to our residents. We know, for instance, that poor housing negatively impacts on children, on their health and their education outcomes, and we need to do everything we can to improve their chances in life. Today is about how we can meet that housing challenge and work together to build a borough that people are proud to call home for generations to come. Our vision is straightforward. We want Croydon to be a borough where everyone has the opportunity to live in a good quality home that meets their needs throughout every stage of their life. That means delivering a wider range of housing than perhaps we've seen coming forward in recent years. We need quality private housing that attracts investment and gives people confidence in our borough. We need more family homes because too many families are squeezed into accommodation that simply isn't designed for them. We need genuinely affordable homes and high quality social housing that provides security and stability for those who need it most. We want to make home ownership a realistic ambition once again, particularly for first-time buyers who often feel that owning a home is becoming increasingly out of reach. We also need homes that allow our older residents to downsize if they choose to, freeing up larger family homes while enabling people to remain part of the communities they have helped build over decades. We want to do more for those who have served our country by supporting housing opportunities for veterans. And we need homes for young adults who want to stay in Croydon, build their careers and raise their own families here, rather than feeling they have no option but to move elsewhere. Housing isn't one size fits all. Different people have different needs at different stages of their lives. A successful housing strategy recognises that diversity. But building more homes cannot come at the expense of quality. New homes should enhance neighbourhoods, not overwhelm them. They should be attractive, well designed, accessible, energy efficient and integrated into existing communities. They should be supported by good transport, green spaces, schools, healthcare and local services. In short, we want development that people welcome, not development that people feel is imposed upon them. That is how we want to create neighbourhoods that people are proud to call home. So how do we achieve that vision? Our priorities are clear. Firstly, wherever appropriate, we want to encourage more houses rather than simply more high-rise apartment blocks. There is certainly a place for higher density development in Croydon, particularly around transport hubs and our town centre. But many of our residents tell us they want family houses with gardens, places where their children can play safely, creating neighbourhoods with a stronger sense of community. And we need to respond to those aspirations. Secondly, we want to support home ownership, and that means encouraging more homes built for sale alongside affordable housing. Home ownership remains one of the biggest aspirations for many people, and it provides stability, investment in communities, and long-term economic resilience. Thirdly, we must continue improving the quality of existing housing stock, including homes owned by the council. Residents rightly expect homes that are safe, warm, well-maintained and fit for modern living. Looking after the homes we already have is every bit as important as building new ones. Fourthly, we want to find practical solutions that help first-time buyers and veterans access suitable housing. This is not something the council can achieve alone, but by working creatively with partners, we can explore new delivery models, innovative financing, and targeted developments that open up opportunities to these groups. And finally, we must reduce our reliance on temporary accommodation. Every family deserves somewhere they can truly call home. Too many households spend far too long living in temporary accommodation, often at considerable financial cost to the council, but more importantly perhaps, at considerable emotional cost to those families. Settled accommodation provides children with stability at school, gives parents greater security, and helps people establish stronger links with their local communities. Reducing temporary accommodation isn't simply about managing budgets, although that is important. It is about improving lives. And if we get those priorities right, we won't simply build more houses. We will build stronger communities. We will create those opportunities for future generations. We will improve health and well-being, and will support economic growth. And will strengthen Croydon's reputation as one of London's most attractive places to live and invest. However, none of this can be achieved by the council acting alone. Housing is one of the most complex challenges any borough faces, and we know that success depends on partnership. We need developers who share our ambition for quality as well as quantity. We need registered providers who continue delivering affordable homes while investing in existing communities. We need contractors who deliver projects safely, efficiently, and to the highest standards. And we'd love to see opportunities for local businesses and for our young people. We need investors who have confidence in Croydon's future and prepared to back that confidence with long-term investment. We need architects who design places rather than simply buildings. We need planners who balance growth with protecting the character of our neighbourhoods. We need funders who recognise that housing is one of the best investments we can make in the future prosperity of our borough. Most importantly, we need organisations that are willing to think differently. The housing challenges we face today cannot always be solved using yesterday's approaches. Innovation matters. Collaboration matters. Flexibility matters. Whether that's modern methods of construction, new funding partnerships, mixed tenure developments, or creative approaches to regeneration, We must all be prepared to explore new ideas. The Council wants to be a positive partner. We want constructive conversations. We want early engagement, and we want to remove barriers wherever we can while maintaining the standards that our residents rightly expect. Above all, we want a shared vision. Croydon has enormous strengths. We have excellent transport links. We have ambitious businesses. We have diverse communities. We have talented people, and we have enormous potential. Housing sits at the heart of unlocking that potential. And today I want to invite everyone here to be part of that ambition. Do come and speak to us so we can work together. Our door is always open. We want to remove uncertainty so you can start planning with confidence. Mayor Perry and I hold regular meetings with people keen to invest and develop in our town. And I can assure you that we will always be honest and pragmatic. Do come and talk to us early on, and let's look at the art of the possible. Let's challenge ourselves to think differently and create places where people want to live, where families can thrive, where communities grow stronger, and where future generations will be proud to say, I live in Croydon and I love it. Thank you, and I'm going to end by sharing a fly-through of our regeneration site at Regina Road in South Norwood. With the help of a much appreciated GLA grant, we're building over 400 new homes here, 215 of which will be council homes. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Would like to take some questions? Ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a question for Councillor, please raise your hand. Abdul, if you've got a question from someone.
Thank you for your presentation. You mentioned that you need architects, planners and the likes. I'm assuming that you need other consultants also to help support your vision for Croydon. How do we get involved as a construction consultancy?
I'll give you my card and we can have a conversation. I think we're having a little bit of a blip at the moment because before the Renters' Rights Act came in the beginning of May, some people were already being evicted and those made of evictions were now coming through. So that might account for a little bit of the peak. But we've been running at over 100 applications a week for some time. We have to find homes to place people. We have in terms of council accommodation, we don't have enough. The reality is we don't have enough council homes or homes that people can afford to live in. So that's why we want such a range of new homes to come forward to meet the aspirations of all our families. None of us want to hear those stories of children in overcrowded accommodation trying to study. It's just not acceptable. But it's hard. I don't think we should kid ourselves think it's going to be an easy job. But I have to tell you, we are straining every signing to get people out of accommodation into settled accommodation. Temporary, it's not temporary, is it? We all know that. And temporary can not only mean just one home, it can mean half a dozen, 8 groups within 6, 7, 8 years. Not good. So that is our mission in the housing department. That is probably our very top priority, is to manage that. Because it is budgetary, it's expensive, council taxpayers, but it is more about how that feels as a family living in accommodation where your family just can't thrive.
Thank you. Just one last question from this gentleman here.
Hello? Little test. Hi there, I'm Ben Giles from Urban Property Solutions. So you touched on a very key point about housing being a foundation, but when we are supporting these people, regardless of demographic, how much is the extra level of care taken into account? For example, with young people, what are we doing to connect them in with youth groups or counselling services, for example?
Young people are very much at the forefront of our thoughts, and we do appreciate they are having a big struggle at the moment. So one of the schemes that I'm really proud of bringing forward is housing development for our care experienced young people. We have a large number of care experienced young people in Croydon, and we're just about bringing forward a scheme. We're hoping to get it into planning, I think, in the autumn time. And they have, it'll be run by the YMCA, that particular one. I think that's right, isn't it? Yes. Who are absolutely brilliant. What they do is they support those young people. They have a concierge type arrangement, and they support those young people through sort of 2 to 5 years in that accommodation, and actually give them the skills they need to manage living in property of their own. Well, I'll never forget when we started on this one, we were talking to one of the young ambassadors we've got in Croydon, he's a care leaver, and he joined our corporate parenting panel. And he came to talk to us when we were talking about developing some accommodation, especially for carers and young people. And needless to say, he thought it was a very good idea. But I asked him how he was getting on with his education, and he said, I can't think about education, I don't know where I'm sleeping tonight. It's not acceptable. That's what we're trying to improve massively.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Please give a quick round of applause for her question and answer session as well. So that's how they like it, that's what they're trying to do. Please now, can we welcome Sarah Parson, Director of Planning. And she will be taking questions afterwards, so we'll only have 3 questions. So if you can raise your hand first, you'll get there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, and I'm not nervous at all about your questions. I'm sure they will all be fine, because everyone loves to ask questions of planners, right? We've always got all the answers. Yes, as I've been introduced, my name is Sarah Parsons. That is me on the screen there. I am the Director of Planning and Regeneration at Croydon. I've been in the post for about 6 months, but I'm no longer allowed to call myself the new director. I am very much feet under the table and ready to go. Within my directorate, we have all of our planning functions. We also have regeneration, so all of our regeneration functions that the Mayor has spoken very passionately about this morning. I also look after our strategic transport function, so we come to that infrastructure point team this morning as well, so do reach out. Now, as Mayor Perry mentioned, the theme of this morning is vision to delivery. So what I thought I'd do, following on from the very inspiring visions that Councillor Hale and the Mayor and Howard Dorper have presented this morning, is put together my initial thoughts about what a vision for planning and sustainable regeneration at Croydon might look like. One thing that I love about what Mayor Perry was saying earlier is this idea of making Croydon impossible to ignore. That is what I want to use planning and sustainable regeneration to do. So this is my vision. It's to be shaped. I've only been here 6 months, but Croydon will be impossible to ignore. It will become London's leading investment destination. It's a borough defined by connectivity, sustainability and opportunity, a place where planners enable success, regeneration unlocks growth, and investment delivers lasting benefits for residents, businesses and communities alike. How are we going to do it? Well, we're already halfway there, I would say, more than halfway there. It's already happening, it's on the ground, you can see that regeneration taking place. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that this morning when I talk to you. If we can move on to the next slide. Deputy Mayor Dorper mentioned in his keynote speak at the beginning of the day the importance of Croydon's growth plan. So we were the first London borough to publish our own. If you're talking about a site in the middle of the room, but actually it's mutually beneficial because it means that we get the money in that we need to actually deliver you the service that you need. So we need to find that right balance between how much we charge and how much we can offer. So the honest answer to you is yes. In development management, I actually do think we do have the skilled resource that we need in order to deliver what I've talked about today. We have a massive backlog to get through, if I'm speaking completely honestly, and that takes a lot of resource away from dealing with stuff that we want to do now. So we need to think about how we address that as well. But things are looking up. We're getting the money in that we need to run the service properly. We've got actually some very skilled planners working at Croydon now. Croydon has become a destination where people want to work, and really highly skilled people want to work. And actually that's a large part of it. You need to get people, not just numbers of people, but skilled people doing this job, because it's a very skilled job. And then they gain the experience as we move forward, and they all buy into the vision that I'm setting out as well. So the answer is yes, but the answer is it can keep improving as well.
We've talked about this grant and free empty spaces. I'm keen to apply for that. How do I apply?
there's a success there, which it is looking like it's going to be, then we want to roll it out to other district centres as well, at which point we will reach out to you, or you can reach out directly to our employment team over here, maybe go and have a conversation this morning, so you can be top of that list once we start rolling that out. That would be amazing.
Yeah, if you fill in the form, please, on the table, that would help us to know who we're going to, what help you need and how we can help you in the future. Thank you very much. Next speaker is from a housing association representative. I'd like to introduce to Sushmita Sen. Please welcome Sushmita Sen.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Yes. Great. I'm sure some of you in the audience will be thinking, that's not Sushmita Sen. You know who I mean by that particular Sushmita Sen. I'll leave it to you to figure that out. I'm actually Corporate Director of Housing at the London Borough of Croydon. And I've been the Director for about 4 years. And it's a relatively new department, actually. I was perhaps blessed in so far as I was invited to be the Director shortly after it's set up. And there's a whole history about why that department was created. What I am going to say is I think Croydon is certainly a huge place of opportunity. It's a tremendously exciting place to be because, having worked for several local authorities and housing associations over my very long career, I can say that this is a place you can really make a difference. And that's what gives me the buzz every day that I come into work. What I do want to share with you is actually what our directorate does. And I think it's important because what I'm hoping to do is just whet your appetite a little. I don't actually have time to give you the full depth of richness of what we do, but we have a huge span. And actually, I'm just going to walk you through some of that. And you've heard some of it from Councillor Hale and the Mayor earlier on, and of course Sarah. But I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about what that looks like, just that flavour. Because the idea is, it is about partnerships, and I'm hoping today, and I only have 3 or 4 people today, I've already got some great contacts that I'm hoping we can work together going forward. So today is about grabbing those opportunities and really building on it. And actually, I think really making that difference for our communities' lives. So, housing development. Well, really this is about new supply, this is about regeneration. You heard about Regina Road. I'm so proud of that, and I'm going to talk about that a little more in a couple of minutes. But regeneration is very much what we're about. The housing department is responsible for the management of 16,000 homes. We're a landlord. Yeah? We work with housing associations, that's part of our role. And I'm hoping that we've got a number of representatives today from our housing association movement. And they vary in scale, from a few hundred homes to thousands of homes in this borough and across the country. But our role is also about managing our own social housing. And we have to take a view of the homes that we're going to invest in and the homes that actually reach the end of their life that actually will offer more opportunity, perhaps in terms of generation. Another key area for us, and you've already sort of touched on this today, is around homelessness. So we receive 5,000 applications, homeless applications a year. So that makes us, the councils above us are Birmingham and Leeds. So that's the context of the pressure that Croydon is under. We don't house everyone, we don't, but we have to assess every single one of those applications. Housing acquisition, we have a programme, a small programme, but nonetheless a very important programme where we are buying and purchasing new homes or former council homes. Because actually we want to bring those numbers in temporary accommodation down. Partnerships, as I've alluded to, are absolutely key in what we do. We want to work with all of you in this room, but we equally want to work with our housing association partners and the developers and the investors, and I've spoken to some of you, I know we've got some of the investment community here. And finally, last but not least, there's a huge private sector in Croydon. So well over 30,000 homes. and we're responsible for licensing HMOs, and we're soon to launch a selective licensing scheme. So that's very much what we do. The sorts of housing that we're focusing on, you've heard at length from Councillor Hale about the nature of homes we want to deliver, but the reality is we do need more social housing. We do need more family housing in particular. We want to settle those communities. But there is a focus on care leavers and young people. What are we doing? What more can we do to help the young community? It's a young mother. And then, as I say that, I'm very conscious that we need to develop better quality housing in terms of extra care for our ageing communities. And finally, affordable housing. We need much more for those families who are potentially at risk of homelessness. And we need to meet their needs more so. At the moment, they are struggling. And those 5,000 applications I alluded to, some of them have been impacted by the Renters Act. So let me turn now to regeneration. We're really proud of what we've done on Regina Road. It is the Council's first and largest regeneration project. And I think why we're so proud of it, because work has started, our contractor Lovins is there. We're looking to deliver over 220 affordable homes. We are looking for a private sector partner to deliver the private sector element of it. But why we're so proud of it is we did this in record time. We took it to a place where there was a massive turnout for the ballot, and over 87% from memory, tenants were supportive of the regeneration. We secured over 54 million in grants, and as I said earlier, the work has already started, phase 1 has started. And the reality is we're going to have to do more of this. So the question is, where's the next site, and who's our next partner, and how are we going to do it? In terms of the GLA, we've already, we're waiting to hear the outcome, but we have actually bid for almost 1,000 homes, new homes in the borough. So, watch this space. In terms, however, of our existing stock, there's still much to do. So we have 14,000 homes, tenanted homes, and we have responsibilities. We actually provide or carry out over 80,000 repairs a year. So that's huge. In terms of our planned maintenance programme, that's about 45 million a year. And that has gone up significantly in the last 4 years. So, I call out to you in sharing this with you, there's a lot of procurement activity going on as we speak. Really keen to get local businesses involved in those frameworks and actually bidding for that work. We want to, as a result of this, really create those local opportunities and employment opportunities for our communities and scope of those partnerships again. But in particular, it's about focusing on that construction sector. Finally, so it's all about delivering better services and better homes with our local community. So let me turn to the acquisition piece, how we grow the supply, and actually why we're having to. So we talked about temporary accommodation. We have over 3,000 families living in temporary accommodation. And I have to say the word temporary is a bit of a misnomer. You can live in temporary accommodation for as long as, well, actually I know it's longer for some households, but the average is 7 years. There's nothing temporary about that. Now 2,000 of those households are living in something called nightly paid, and the cost of that is eye-watering. The reality is we want to bring those numbers down, 3,000, 3,300. We want to reduce that by 2/3. We want to bring that number down. Ultimately, we want to get our communities into permanent housing. And the pressure where we need homes is actually about the two gates. We need more family-sized accommodation. And we've done some phenomenal work already in the last couple of years. So the 2 award-winning schemes, recognised by the industry, in fact, Zodiac House and Red Clover, and 2 of those sites where we released about 150 units from the work we did, acquiring those units. And more recently, we have this programme, the acquisitions programme, and we're looking to buy 100 units a year. We've already purchased, I'm looking at my colleague there, 150, we've already purchased 150, so there you are, well done those. And that is all about reducing the pressure, and bringing the cost down, and actually improving, most importantly, the lives of the residents who are living in temporary accommodation. Ultimately, we'll get the best value we can out of portfolios and the products that we're working with. We want to bring the cost down, improve the lives of our residents, and make much better use of our assets. So partnerships is what it's all about, and that's just a flavour. This could have gone much further. It's just a flavour of some of the partnerships we've developed. We're very proud of the relationship we have with the GLA. We were encouraged to apply for the latest round of funding, and you will see all the partners there that are really helping us make that difference. With registered providers in particular, we're looking at our nomination agreements. We want to see more come for our new supply from our registered providers, and again, make better use of our existing stock by working with them. In terms of developers, again, anything is on the table. We really want to talk to developers. As I said earlier, what's our next region scheme? What's the intersection of those like for us? From across the side, right? So looking ahead, I think someone said earlier on in the session, tomorrow will be better. Well, the March is certainly on. We know tomorrow is going to be far better. It is about delivering more affordable homes. It is about improving the quality of our existing housing, and we will reduce our numbers in temporary accommodation. But to get to this place, it's all about collaboration and really strong partnerships with yourselves. So that's what I'm really looking forward to today, after today. And that brings... Thank you.
Anyone would you like to ask a question? Okay. Anyone got any burning question that won't hold?
So firstly, thank you to yourself and Council for supporting the trial homelessness shelter that started at the start of this year. Really wonderful to have that council support and help us leverage in lots of other government funding and smaller charitable trusts. I mention it because we haven't got sustained funding going forward, and I look to colleagues in the room who might be interested in investing in getting rough sleepers off our streets. It's more than just a shelter. What we do in a collaborative way with all the charities working in homelessness is to look for those kind of routes for into temporary accommodation, routes into employability, routes to next steps for each individual that experiences a shelter. So if anybody's interested in supporting that, we'll be really keen to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah, for that punt. And as I say, we can talk after the session is drawn to a close, but thank you.
Please, thank you, valuable. Thank you to Shusmita. My colleague Abdul will be coming around to collect the completed form from you. Please, it's very important that we know what people want so that we can deliver what the council can deliver to you guys. So we really need you to do this form. So please complete it for us, and my colleague Abdul will come and collect it. In the meantime, our next speaker is Mr. Richard Blunt. He's the chairman of Develop Croydon.
How do I move the slides on? It's not quite me, but I'll start anyway. So I'm chairman of Develop Croydon, and I'm also a partner at SHW Property. But it began with being born in Croydon, in a maternity hospital on Wimwell Road, so I really genuinely am from Croydon. And in '95 I moved back to work in Croydon. And initially, '95 wasn't a particularly great time, but we had a lot of hope and optimism in that period. We were in the run-up to the construction of Tramlink, and Tramlink really did challenge the perceptions of Croydon. It was something modern, only tram really anywhere in the south of England. So it was an exciting time. And I focus primarily on development work, general property advice, but primarily development. And things were moving along very well. And it was all going okay until probably the 2007-8 recession came along. And then we did struggle. Development stopped for a long period of time. And it didn't really start till the regeneration of Croydon faltered a little bit, probably from 1920 onwards. But prior to that period, we started a little map of development sites and what was going on. And I think at peak, we got right up into the sort of 88, 90 odd opportunities. And if you just look at some of those, you can see that a lot of them are literally adjoining each other. And if you're in, Dingwall Road, you've got new offices at Renaissance, all at Ruskin Square. So much has happened in that period from 2011. So even though development has faltered a bit at the moment, I don't think we should beat ourselves up too much over it. I think we should celebrate the massive change that has already happened. And if you put yourself on any vantage point, out on the Purley Way, Shirley Hills, wherever, and look at the Croydon skyline, the vast majority of what you see has turned up basically since that sort of 2011 to 19 period. And even rolling back 5 years, the skyline was filled with cranes. Now that has stopped, but that isn't Croydon's fault. That is Putin, that is Donald Trump, that is macro world economics. We're never going to fight or beat those. But what I think is that we are now in a place where we can position ourselves for that next increase. So I think we had a good upward trajectory from 2000. I think we had a good upward trajectory from 12, 13. And I think now is the time where we're ready for our next one. And with that in mind, Develop Croydon is launching its new initiative, which is Invest in Croydon. Because I can tell you, as a property professional in Croydon, there's no shortage of people wanting to come and invest. It's just the viability of some of the schemes. So we are now pushing more and more inward investment. And although a lot of the office buildings have changed hands predominantly from committed development conversion to residential, so you can't actually see cranes and a huge amount of scaffolding, but there is a lot going on inside. A huge amount of property has changed hands, and those new investors, they're there, they bet on the future success of Croydon, and they need it to move to the next stage. So, Invest in Croydon. Who is our audience? The Develop Croydon audience has, like I say, predominantly been developers, big property investors. These are the partners, a lot of those property related or construction related. You've got architects, you've got construction professionals, civil engineers and the likes. You've also got good local Croydon investors like Ganco and so on. And then you've got the big players like Schroders, Danco, and what have you. But I think we need more Croydon occupiers to join in the Invest in Croydon story. And therefore, if anybody's interested, please do let me know. But so our audience, like I say, primarily bigger business, which is why it's great to be here with an organisation that is actively supporting the vitally important smaller businesses, particularly around the town centre. So our role is to promote Croydon, to be the authoritative source of accurate and agreed information, to engage and influence the policymakers, and to create a network for investors and developers, particularly to integrate with the local authority, with the planning department, with the mayor. The direction of Invest in Croydon, stroke Develop Croydon, has been run by the board. You can see a spread of representatives there. We work very closely with the bid, and we are organised and shepherded along by White Label very ably. There are spare places on the board, and if anyone wants to join, become a member, and share in the task of trying to influence the direction, please do. That was back to the audience, it's not quite in the right order. So what do? We do a lot of e-newsletters, a lot of PR. We run the Invest in Croydon website, which is a great source of information. We have regular social media posts. Twice a year we produce the Croydon News, which is albeit a slightly old-fashioned paper version left on the tables in receptions across Croydon, but it's also available electronically on the website. We take the message of Croydon to events. We used to go to MIPIM, UK Real Estate, the now UK Brief in Leeds, but all of those sort of things, taking the message of investing in Croydon. We run investor tours, where even me, living, working, walking around Croydon every single day, it's still important to actually take yourself to bits you don't necessarily always go to. So we bring the investors down, we often borrow a tram, do a loop of the town centre, we put them on a bus, we show them the vitally important Purley Way, where there's so much business and jobs out here. And we also take them into the almshouses to show them a bit of the history of Croydon, which is often overlooked. We do breakfast briefings, some of which we go to London, just because sometimes it's difficult to bring the audience down from London. It's easier to go and take the message to them. And finally, our signature event of the year is the conference. I wonder whether, Catherine, you want to say a little bit about that. You'd be more au fait with the programme than I am. So this is Catherine Glass of White Label, fellow founder.
Thanks, Richard. Firstly, congrats on an amazing morning. It's really fantastic to see everyone in the room sharing this message. That sort of collaboration word is the word that we used when we started out, developed Croydon back in 2010. It was all about how we could collaborate with one collective voice to promote Croydon. This morning reminds me a little bit of November 2010 when Richard, I, others came together for the very first time to talk about the art really of the impossible, or the art of the possible. What could we do if we all collaborated? And that was back in 2010, and Develop Croydon is now a not-for-profit community interest company, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to collaborate with Croydon Business Association, with Ben, and Rico, and all of you, because the more we can actually all collaborate to share the messages, the bigger and better Croydon will become, and that's what we're all here to do. As I say, 2010 was the first Croydon conference, and it's happening again. It's happened every year, despite COVID. We went online during COVID, but every year we bring back public and private sector partners to talk about those opportunities. So the date this year is the 12th of November. It's going to be held at TBXH in Croydon, in partnership with the council, and hopefully many of you. So we will make sure you get information, but I also wanted to just push the other channels that we have. If you don't already sign up to our e-bulletins, please do. If you don't already follow our social posts, please do, because they've been running since 2010. And we also have a Croydon commercial platform. Just go back one slide. So we also have go back one slide for me. Thank you. We also run a commercial and retail property platform in partnership with Council, where we track all the vacant units, all the available units, in one place, and then it points you out to who you can then go and talk to. So do please make use of that. On the back table, we have brought copies of our newspaper. One of the things when we started out in 2010 that was the case, actually it's got worse since 2010, is that it's not difficult to find incorrect news about Croydon, and it's not difficult to find the wrong news and negative news about Croydon. And one of the things we decided to do back in 2010 was to change that by publishing regular, good, quality, correct news, positively promoting our borough. That still exists today, but one of the things we do, as Richard said, is produce this. So we do have copies of this on the back table. It's available in PDF format as well. We also have copies of our development map, which Richard referred to, so it's a really helpful source. And as I say, do go to the Invest in Croydon, Develop Croydon website for more information. So hopefully we'll collaborate with you more, and we'll see you on the 12th of November.
Thanks very much. All it remains for me to say is to thank Ben and Rico. I think they've done very well.
Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you. Please give a round of applause for Richard. Richard Clark from the People of Croydon. URW, Adam Smith is here to explain his vision for Westfield.
Thank you very much for having me. Firstly, a little bit about URW, or Unibuy Rodamco Westfield. For those who don't know, it's a slightly different company, or it's a very different company to the Westfield that was set up by the Aussies and brought all the Westfields over to the UK. Unibuy Rodamco bought the Westfield brand and the Westfield assets in 2017. And obviously at that time, you'll all be aware there was a Westfield planned for the centre of Croydon, which would have made it the third Westfield site in London. It was a very complicated scheme to bring forward because there's obviously a lot of different ownerships in the town centre. It wasn't until 2018 and 2019 that really the full consents came forward, and then along came the advent of online shopping and then COVID. And we do genuinely live in a different world now. And for those of you who haven't seen our public consultations recently, I need to make sure that you will understand that we are not going to be building a Westfield shopping centre in Croydon, which I know might create some disappointment to some people. But what we are trying to do is bring forward something which we think is more appropriate, more deliverable, better for Croydon, better for the 21st century, and that is a mixed-use development in the heart of Croydon. A bit about me, I am an architect by background. I used to work at Stanhope, so I actually worked on the Ruskin Square scheme about 10 years ago. I joined URW 3 years ago, and that was at the moment we bought Hammerson out of the Croydon Partnership joint venture. Ultimately, just again, a way of simplifying that ownership and bringing forward faster decision making. I seem to have lost my... Oh, no, it's back. It's back. Sorry, our website's on the screen because I just wanted to commend it to you in terms of a source of information for if you want to find out what we're doing. And could you just go to the homepage for me, if that's all right? We've recently branded what we're doing, the Croydon Project. If you just click on the top left there. Effectively what we want to do really is make sure that we have a brand which lasts the test of time, which talks about partnership, which talks about mixed use, and allows this to be a project of many different happenings. Since buying out Hammerson, we've done quite a lot of things over the last 3 years. That was obviously a big move in itself, a big vote of confidence by URW in Croydon. There's been an awful lot of things to sort out. When we took over the site from Hammerson, there's quite a lot of disrepair. There still is a lot of disrepair. We've tried to reduce that and improve the experience. And our leasing team and our asset management team are doing a great job at curating quite a difficult situation, but doing new leasing deals and doing new renewals. Over that time, we built the Croydon team at URW from, well, originally it was basically me and Brent, a guy called Brenton. We've now got about 12 or so people dedicated to this project full time. And we spent a lot of time tidying up things like the CPO, the compulsory purchase order that happened in 2019. A lot of our time has been spent making sure that gets closed out, doing other land assembly. You might have read in the press in the last couple of weeks we've made another further big commitment to Croydon in buying out the Whitgift Foundation from their freehold of the Whitgift Centre, which is really quite a sort of big milestone for us because that really just gives us 100% land ownership and control of the Central Shopping Centre and the Whitgift Centre and Alders, which is very good for the way our ability to bring in investment and bring in funding into a mixed-use complex regeneration site. Other things that have happened in the last 3 years is we we brought what was called the Master Plan Framework to working in collaboration with Croydon Council to bring forward that new set of strategies and policies for the town centre. That was endorsed by the Planning Committee in February last year. We also worked very hard on establishing what the infrastructure requirements for the town centre are and what the capacity for new homes and stuff should be. So that's resulted in what we hope will be a rubber-stamped new local plan chapter for the North End Quarter, establishing a baseline for reducing the retail footprint somewhat to something that's more sustainable, and increasing the number of homes to something potentially around 3,000, but at least 2,225 homes, all very much needed. It's about making this more of a mixed-use neighbourhood in that area, town centre. Other things that we've achieved, we've got a central planning application which Sarah touched on earlier. We're going to start some of those works later this year. We're working on improving other properties in the North End. We bought Costa del Croydon to the town centre for this year, a few weeks for the third time. Really successful beach on the roof. If you haven't been, great place to take the family. Free to attend. I think you have to register to attend, but I think there are some walk-in passes available too. We're also very proud of some of the partnerships we've sort of tried and maintained. It's really hard to have partnerships with everybody, but we do our best. We've got a long-standing relationship with Legacy Youth Zone. We're pleased to have just renewed our funding support for CBA in the last few weeks for this year. Hi Sarah, I hope to meet you later. We're also really trying to build on relationships with local education, with the Brit School, with Croydon College, LSBU. And actually some of the students from those organisations are joining our next gen panel tomorrow night at our Engineers Arab for a sustainability workshop. It's just an example of some of the consultation, outreach and education we're trying to work on at the moment. Very helpfully, so you've seen a bit of a scan of the website here, but this is really just a platform that you can actually look at, and you can see all of the consultation documentation that we've been launching through this website. You can get in touch with us, and we're always keen to hear from people. I'm meandering a little bit, but I just wanted to introduce my colleague Steve Johnson. Steve is our speciality leasing, head of speciality leasing, Northern Europe or globally? UK and Europe. So the reason I brought Steve along is because we'd like to do more with SMEs over the course of the development. Obviously there's a lot of focus on making sure we get the big brands back into shops where we can, and there's a lot of need to bring in big investment, but we also definitely want to talk to all of you. Steve was instrumental in the Wonders Parade project, so I thought I'd just ask Steve to say a few words about how he went about the process of leasing those units up, and the approach we take to balancing local, national and international business.
In terms of the impact to North End as you turn right, coming out of George Street, it's night and day, I think. And the feedback that we've had, tapping in to what Sarah was saying, planning, that everyone was talking about how things can be done if everything is done right. So it's getting the environment right, getting the security right. I'm notoriously a pain in the backside for most of the people in the council if there's something that isn't exactly where I want it to be, but they're incredibly collaborative and everyone's working towards the same goal in terms of whether it's the trees, the pavements, the bins, all of these little things add up. And the reason I'm talking about them now in the context of retailers, all of these things need to be right for successful retail. If you don't have secure environments, you don't have people wanting to shop in these areas. So all of these little pieces, everybody here has a part to play in it. So in terms of the mix, we were very keen, I was very keen and determined to ensure that we had a mix of some high street, some larger businesses, but also wherever we could to tap into local talent and emerging businesses as well. So we went out, we've got Abachi, which is a modest fashion retailer. This is only their second store, they're in London. Melting Memories were the last tenant to leave Alders, and then we bought them back. Again, they're a local business. Then Coco and Nut, a fantastic cafe. If you haven't been there and had breakfast there, please, I recommend it. It's absolutely, they're fantastic. So we've really worked with those local businesses. I think one of the questions that people might reasonably ask is, right, okay, we've got this bigger development, how are Westfield going to work with SMEs and local businesses to prioritise that? And the reality is that it's in our interests to do so where we can. New business, new retail is our lifeblood. So commercially, it's in our interest to do that. Within my team, we work very closely with different routes to market. So for us, how do we lower the cost? So one of the areas that I focus on is kiosk business, which is a lower cost entry. We've worked with I met a new friend this morning. We were talking about one of his colleagues that has just rented and leased a unit from us in Stratford for a start-up cookie business at a fraction of the cost of a unit or a shop with all the extra costs that entails. So I guess I'm here to say we're very pleased at the start that we've made with orders. We've seen that ink spotting start to work down North End with other landlords saying, oh, hang on, I can get a better mix here. But also that if everyone does collaborate and we work together, we can take something that was a visual kind of indication where we didn't want to be and turn it into something that I think most of the community today are much proud of.
Thanks a lot, Steve. So I think Aldous, one of the first things we wanted to do to make sure that people understand that we're not just sort of doing drawings and trying to get planning permissions. We actually want to start moving the dial, and that's not going to stop. We are now working on improving some further properties on North End, which dovetail, and some entrances on the Central project. So works for those will start later this year or early next year. We're collaborating with Sarah and her team on improvements to the public realm. I think they bring to around £10 million to improve the public realm on North End, and we're working alongside their design team to make sure that it's future-proof for what our development might do in the future. And that's really important for the retailers and the people we're talking about, either doing renewals or taking new leases in the town centre. And I think we are really confident that despite bits of negative perception, actually people really want to be in Croydon. There's about 20 million visits a year to the high street. Croydon puts it in the top 15 retail footfall destinations in the UK. That's not insignificant to an international company like URW and its retail audience. And what else are we doing next? So on the screen you can see this vision for a high density, mixed use central Croydon, and it's ambitious and it's complicated, but the key thing about it is it can be delivered bit by bit, and that's what's realistic in today's economy, is that we need to be able to show that we can eat the elephants, to excuse the expression, and make sure that it's not too big to start. And by doing these small and medium projects, we start building confidence, we change perception, we improve footfall, we improve the land value, projects become more viable, and we can get moving. So where are we in the process? We're cruising towards what we call design freeze. So when you're doing a big master plan application, it's not like doing a detailed application for your home or an office building. What we're doing is an outline planning consent that will stand the test of time for the duration that consent will come forward, which creates parameters and design codes about how this might comport. It has a certain amount of flexibility to it, which is therefore future-proofing against market cycles. And so it's a very complex thing to move forward. We've got a very big team of architects and engineers and specialists working with a very big team at Croydon Council and the GLA, making sure we get all of our assumptions right. We'll be bringing things to a head called design freeze in the autumn. What design freeze does is it basically sort of fixes the amount of homes, the amount of offices, the amount of shops that we're considering, and we then have to do an environmental impact assessment, which takes quite a few months. So we're aiming for an application in January or February next year, once that process is complete. And touch wood, we will get approval for that as soon as we can. I can't give a fixed time frame because that's in the hands of GLA and the Croydon Council, but hopefully within a year we'll have consent for this major regeneration project, and it really will be one of the greatest opportunities in London And what do we want to do with you, your friends and families and business associates? We want to spread the word that this is what we're doing. People I know are quite public consultation weary, so we're trying to be quite targeted about the way we do it. This summer we're doing some quite targeted workshops. We just did a women and girls safety consultation. We'll walk around the town centre at night to think about how we design the town centre more safely. Tomorrow night, as I mentioned, is a sustainability workshop with Next Gen representatives from the young people of Croydon working with Arab engineers. As our designs become a bit more crystalline in the autumn, we will be doing one sort of final-ish consultation before we make the application. And we'd love as many of you as possible to get involved in that and see it and hopefully grow in your enthusiasm. And what we really need from you is your support, because we want this application to fly through consent, and it really helps if we can have lots of letters of support and lots of objections. So the more me and my team can meet you, work with you, understand your concerns, so that we get you to a point where you feel supportive, we will do that. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Very grateful to Benedict and Rico and all the team for having us here today. So hopefully see you after this. Thanks very much.
A few questions. Who's going to be taking the questions? Well, take one from me first. I mean, you all know that Croydon, Westfield was a blessing for Croydon 15 years ago, that 2009 when it was announced, 2010, and now it's turned into a very kind of curse, I would say. So, how far are we to make Croydon the idea that you had in 2012, or whoever had in Westfield in 2012, make that a reality? Are we looking at 10 years, 15 years? What are we looking at?
As I said, we're not going to build a new Westfield. No. So it's a change of plan. Sadly, that scheme was not successful, and it's a different company, different team, different idea. In reality, that process started 2.5, 3 years ago. As I say, we've started doing projects already. We can only do what we can do in terms of scale of investment, scale of planning permissions. This planning application will go in, let's say, very early next year. It will take probably 9 months plus to get consented, and we'll move as quickly as we can after that to get building homes and building new public realm.
So your Gantt chart, where do you see that in your Gantt chart?
For the whole development, that's a 15-year plus development, but we're not going to build it all at once. It's about building a first phase that changes the place, unlocks the town centre. So we're definitely going to be moving on this in the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
And then would you get local businesses involved, like the procurement part, get the local businesses involved?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's development of this is going to create huge jobs and opportunities for individuals and businesses. It's going to work at every level, both global, regional, national, and local SME level. We have a responsibility to look at how we can use the local skills and the local offer of businesses. And we certainly as URW, we have a lot of policies around local sourcing and making sure that we're training local people for apprenticeships and so on. So look, it's very easy to sit here and promise you the earth, but we're trying to do it methodically and realistically, and yes, there will be loads of opportunities for lots of people.
Thank you. We've got a question from Maddie at the back.
Yeah, hello, I'm Manny Robertor, the Deputy Director of Operations at Communities First. We're a national regeneration agency. We support local investment plans and development plans, including housing and local infrastructure. So the simple question you did allude to, I think Ben talked about earlier as well. You can have plans to involve local people, or you set targets to make sure local people are involved. I work from the outside of the company you plan for it. What you create will grow. So in your plans and development over the next 10 to 15 years, have you got a roadmap? Everyone in this room can direct their young people to local business to be involved, suppliers, they can roadmaps and working towards you to expand benefits for you, or you can just go local people outside to do it. That's my question. Have you got that roadmap now, or is it just policies and packages? I'm sure it is. You just go to the industry over here and say, yes, this is how everyone in this room can get moving to develop this local employment development plan.
Okay, thanks for this question. Yeah, challenging question. I think at the moment it's not just policy and platitudes, we're putting an awful lot of money where our mouth is. There's more we could do, and I think your idea of a roadmap's a really interesting one, so great to chat to you afterwards about that. My experience of working on big developments like this is you do normally establish a platform where businesses can register an interest in being involved and effectively advertise their capabilities so that the development teams and contractors and developers working within that development know where to find you. I think that's something we could look at doing. We haven't got that set up now. We haven't got a specific roadmap. We've got a huge amount to do just to unlock what we're unlocking. I think what you're talking about becomes super relevant further through the planning and design process. So when we start delivering, do that. But let's pick up afterwards, Maddie. Great to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam. Next question.
Okay. Ben Giles from Urban Property Solutions again. I have less of a question and more of an offer for you, Adam. You mentioned community safety and wanting to get letters of support. If I was to bring you a scheme that is a grain of sand in terms of the funding you have, that could take thousands of weapons off the streets, especially around the town centre, has the backing of the Met Police and a established knife-beat charity, would you be interested?
You mean to give me funding?
Well, yeah, but also it's to help you guys as well.
Yeah, so I'm really concerned and interested in the violent crime aspect in Croydon. Many years ago, I did some work at Lives Not Knives on the Ruskin side when we worked on the public art, and we've got young people from Lives Not Knives in there. We have Lives Not Knives in our centre. I think in terms of how we work on community support, as a listed company, we want to do that, and we have a very specific system for it. It's called our Community Action Resilient Plans, which go on a 12-month cycle. So, for example, the funding we just launched into CBA is part of that Community Resilience Action Plan. Unfortunate abbreviation if you spell it out, but it's a very good system. It's what's also we do our legacy support through. We also do safety training in centres. We do apprenticeship training for young people. I think the answer, in short, is let's talk afterwards. We go through that process between November and March every year, and effectively our social value team rescan what are the local needs, what's most relevant and effective for URW to get involved in, and then effectively, once we've gone through that strategic process, we select local partners we want to work with. So let's have a chat. Obviously we can't have everybody in Croydon all the time, but we want to make sure we get good partners that we can have impact through with that community funding. All right?
Thank you. One more question. Two questions. One question from
She's already asked.
One question from the gentleman.
Just a little one to let you know, through Croydon Business Association perspective, we have got lots of members showing their interest on your food courts. Most of our restaurant members, so I think that's a positive note. At the same time, my proposition is, Adam, that's why I was begging you to come. Croydon Business Association, we have been project called Enterprise Innovatives. So we wanted to create jobs, help on testings and so forth, and we have AI participation, so forth. Would you be considering giving us a small space for Croydon Business Association when you are delivering your internal units? That was the pushing the boat.
What are you paying? £50 square feet? So, joking aside, we had to. We are looking forward to bringing in revenue-producing retailers and businesses. We will undoubtedly have an obligation through the planning process to bring in affordable workspace and community space. So, how we gear that community space and affordable workspace component within the master plan, we would love to get your views on. Obviously, it has to be a fair process to make sure that we can't accommodate everybody, but what I think is important to think about is that this development will be able to provide some spaces for local organisations and local independent businesses. It won't be able to cater for all of them, but the impact of this development in terms of business and opportunities should have a ripple effect from the town centre to unlock spaces and things, so I hope you agree. But I think in my head, there is a place in the master plan for potentially some multi-agency space. Obviously, it's great for people to have their own home, but given the importance of the town centre and the interest it can create, I'm interested in whether we can create multi-interest or multi-agency business, entrepreneurship, innovation space, and again, not-for-profit and charity and social support space, because I think that could be a really effective way to work efficiently.
Thank you so much.
All right?
You heard it.
Thank you. A final question from the gentleman over there.
Thank you so much. My name is Adol, and I wanted to ask a simple question, really. Thanks for the elaboration you've given. And this probably goes to yourself and probably some of the other big speakers. There's a lot of what I probably call an executive discussion, summary kind of talk. What I wanted to find out was, what are some of the things that we could go back and tell our kids, those that are growing up, what are going to be the big changes that's going to happen in the next 1 to 2 years in Croydon? When I walk out on the road and I go into Wicked Centre, what are the things we can start to see? What opportunities are there for them in terms of employment coming out of school? How does that translate to the local communities in Croydon? And what is it for, of course, the small businesses and the changes that we can see in the actual centre as well? So a bit more something that is simple that I can relate to a young adult and give them some hope beyond some of the very big 15-year plans.
Thank you. That's a great question. Adam, big responsibility. You have to give them hope.
Well, I've had a few of these questions before. I tend to be about the legacy you say, and I think that we can hand on heart say when this development is in construction, there will be a lot of construction jobs. And I'd really like to encourage, we really want to do a lot more outreach with local education around engineering and business skills, because it's going to take a lot of people to build this. And it's not the only site in London that needs to do a lot of building, right? So we've got a stagnation of building and development in London at the moment. Hopefully that will come good in a couple of years with some economic luck. And the UK's got a big shortfall in construction jobs. So that's not going to suit every young person, but I think if you've got, it doesn't have to be muscular young men, it can be women and girls too. There are loads of jobs in construction, science and engineering, and this country needs loads of that. In terms of what people are actually going to see in the town centre, as I say, we've already started with the oldest projects. That's putting our money where our mouth is. Central will start to be improved, and you will see new leasing deals and refreshed renewals in that centre as well. More properties on the North End. And then we want young people to get involved in our consultation. If you've got young people who want to get involved in our next gen panel to help us design and work on the future, be some of our ambassadors at that level, we'd love to hear from you and your family and your friends about that, and we'll try and accommodate additional people on the next gen panel. It is really hard to tell a young person this is all going to be built in 10 years. It's not. It's going to take ages, but it's going to. I personally put some money on the first bit being done by the early 2030s. Having started, these projects take a couple of years to build out, right? We're already in 2026, so let's be realistic. But Croydon will be a vastly different space in the next 5 to 10 years. All right.
Thank you very much. Give a round of applause for Adam and Steve, please. From all of you. Spend their time here answering questions and being very nice to us. Now, on your table, you should have a leaflet like this to say that we have a networking event tomorrow with Metro Bank Croydon between 5:30 and 7:30. It'd be good if you can come, all of you, if not some of you, but it'd be good to see you. We are working very closely with Metro Bank in Croydon, so they are a very good partner of us. Now, our next, we also have forms. For people who haven't completed the forms, they want additional forms, please go to the last table on my left to complete the form, please. It's quite important for us to have those forms. Now, my next speaker is Mario Caruzzo from Croydon Group. Please. give a big welcome to Marion.
I've definitely got the short straw. Everyone looks a bit tired, I'm not gonna lie. But hopefully I'll wake you up. Are you still with us? Yeah? Come on, I'm not gonna go back to mine, don't worry. Just wanna make sure we're all still here. Give me 1 second. So I've been asked here to come today to talk about my journey. Hopefully I can inspire some of you about how I started in Croydon, and just to show that anything's possible. So yeah, I'm Mario, and I'm a professional sandwich maker. Sandwich maker, yeah. Crazy as it sounds. And Rico, he was probably looking at me and thinking, why is a sandwich maker coming to a property site? Look, I'm not gonna lie, look, I'm not a politician, not a planner. I don't have a university degree. But what I do have is over 35 years of experience developing property, building businesses and working in partnerships with so many boroughs. And it all started here in Croydon. And I know we're talking about vision today, but for me it's about what it takes to deliver that vision. So my background, I grew up in a restaurant trade. Literally, from the age of 8, I was behind that kitchen sink. Luckily, social service, it weren't around at the time, so I was okay to still work. But, you know, I think I learned a lot about food. In that business, you learn about discipline, you learn about customer service, and generally, if you look after people, they generally come back. And at the same time, my dad used to take me to property auctions, and I was only 11 years of age, and I was hooked the first day I went there. Not just about the properties, but more about the deals that were done and, you know, how you could leverage. And I think I became an investor, not at 18, not at 16, but at 11. So I left school with just a handful of GCSEs, and my school report said, Mario, you ain't gonna amount to much. But I didn't believe it, thank God. When I was 18, I managed to buy my first property. I basically found a clever way of leveraging, or maybe it was just a product of the 90s where, you know, the market was very, very different. So when I moved to Croydon 20 years ago, it was natural for me to go into food. And I opened a little sandwich bar just by East Croydon Station. And, you know, I had to get up in the morning, bake the croissants, do the fillings, wash the floors and go home. I didn't set the world on fire, but it was my first start to Croydon. And I was only making about 50 sandwiches a day, and I think I was lucky if I took up 100 quid at the end of the week. But my luck changed. I saw an opportunity with Croydon Council where I went for a tender for the catering. And most people looked at a tender and thought, no chance. But I went for it, and against all the odds I won that tender. Now overnight I went from making 50 sandwiches a day to catering for thousands of people. It's crazy, thousands of people. That was in the town hall, the magistrates' courts, and Deborah remembers me very, very well when I started there. And Croydon gave me that belief, and I think when someone believes in you, it gives you that ability really to believe in yourself. So at the same time I was building a small property portfolio. I was working hands-on, I worked on site for many years to try and learn the trades, not behind the desk, but just to try and learn everything I could. So I think the sandwich bar taught me about customer service, but construction and development taught me how property investment worked, and together I managed to understand the real fundamentals of how to scale any business. So life was good. I thought, I've made it, what could go wrong? And unfortunately, the crash of 2008 came. Everything I'd worked for 15 years, gone. Literally overnight wiped out. The council decided to save costs and do in-house catering. And I was exposed to the property market. I had £20 million of bridging loans and personal guarantees. Everything went. And I'm not going to lie, there was mornings that I couldn't get out of bed. You know, I had a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old at the time. And I remember sitting in my car thinking, damn, how am I going to go tell my family I lost everything? And, you know, just those memories, they were leaving. But I think with failure doesn't really define you, you know, it's what you do next that counts for me. So what was the turning point? or a twist of fate, call it. There was a friend of mine that was street homeless in 2009, and he needed help, and I helped him find somewhere to live, and I made £50 a month. Now in the scheme of things, £50 a month, it weren't going to change the world, but it wasn't about the £50. It was, I could see there was a gap that, especially from the private sector, no one wanted to help homeless people. And it wasn't about me just giving them a roof. I want someone to begin to believe in themselves again, and it kind of made me remember what I felt like when I had someone believe in me. So for the first time I really realised that business doesn't have to be just about creating a profit. You can create a purpose. So I started working in Croydon, proving a concept, and I pioneered a lot of the rent guarantees that you see today. And I started off converting a lot of empty buildings, and I think I developed around 300 properties firstly in Croydon. And really I was housing people that the system had written off. This is with no grants, no government funding, just the belief that if there's a problem, someone needs to solve it. And I guess, why couldn't I solve it? So 2014 came, and I thought, you know what, I can take this to another level. So that same sandwich maker from Croydon walked into a hedge fund boardroom in Mayfair with a little business plan, but a real social purpose. And I still find it hard to say this because from where I come from, I walked out of that hedge fund with over £300 million of investment. Now this time it wasn't for sandwiches, it was for housing. So today I'm proud to say that Croydon is an award-winning, international recognised group. We recently presented CSR at the House of Lords and St Paul's. We've achieved outstanding Ofsted results in our children's homes. We've created hundreds of jobs locally and housed over 20,000 people, most of them homeless. Now, we didn't do this because we wanted to be the biggest. I wanted to do it because I wanted to make the biggest difference. So I want to leave a few things with you today, and I think, for me, every opportunity that I kind of started with didn't have a perfect plan. It started with a problem that someone else had given up on. Homelessness, empty buildings, the broken system. So a lot of people saw the obstacles, but I saw opportunity. Not because I was any smarter, but I kind of realised that the value is almost always hiding where others just don't see it. And I still believe that Croydon is one of the greatest opportunities in London, not just because of the transport links, the regeneration, but I think it's about the people that work here, the people that build here, and the people that stay when things go wrong. So I want to leave you with the last thing really, and this is not because it's where I built my business, it's because where I rebuilt my life, literally. I think Croydon's future won't be defined by the opportunities it has. It will be defined by the people that's willing to take them. Thank you for your time today.
Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to Mario. If you've got any questions to ask him, he'll be happy to speak to you. He'll be here for a bit, so he'll be happy to speak to you. And I've been reminded that I need to talk about Metro Bank tomorrow evening. Again, everyone knows it's tomorrow at 5:30 to 7:30, so we'll be happy to see you all there. Our next speaker is... I forgot what our next speaker is. No, I do know.
The mayor.
He's our civic mayor. Right. He's our civic mayor, who's a community champion. We've known him for a long time. He's been working with us for a long time. He's been very helpful. And I would like to invite him to close the summit for today, please. Very warm welcome to Councillor Mohammed Islam, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished guests, colleagues,
representatives from the property and housing sector, business and community organisation, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to welcome and be here today for Croydon Property and Housing Summit 2026. As a civic mayor of Croydon, I have the privilege of representing the whole of our borough and many different communities that are proud to call Croydon home. Croydon is an extraordinary place. We are one of London's largest and most diverse borough, with thriving communities, excellent transport connection, established businesses, and importantly, enormous potential for the future. Today's summit brings together people who can play an important part in the future. The investment, housing and regeneration are ultimately about much more than buildings. They are about people and communities. They are about creating a place where families can build their lives, where businesses can succeed, where communities can thrive, and where our young people can see opportunities for their own future. During my year as civic mayor, young people are particularly important to me. My chosen charities, Legacy Youth Zone and Reaching Higher, both work to support and create opportunities for young people across Croydon. That is why I believe it is important that, as we discuss Croydon's future, we also think about the generations who will inherit what we create today. Successful regeneration also depends upon partnership. Local government cannot do everything alone. Neither can developers, investors, businesses or community organisations. Progress is strongest when people come together, listen to one another and share their knowledge, experience and ideas. Croydon's diversity is one of our greatest strengths, from our town centre to our district centres and neighbourhoods across the north and south of the borough. Each community contributes something distinctive to Croydon's identity. Our ambition should therefore be to see Croydon continues to be a borough where people want to live, work, invest, visit and raise their families. Today's summit provides an important opportunity to build relationships, exchange ideas and consider how investment and development can contribute positively to Croydon's future. I would like to thank Croydon Business Association and everyone involved in organising today's summit, as well as all the speakers, partners and guests for giving their time and expertise. I hope today's discussion are constructive, ambitious and above all focused on achieving positive outcomes for Croydon and its communities. As a civic mayor, I am proud to represent this remarkable borough, and I look forward to seeing the partnership and ideas that emerge from today's discussion. Thank you, and I wish a very successful summit. Thank you.
Civic Mayor of Croydon, Mohammed Salam, please everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here now. That's the end of the summit. You can hear now. You can network with each other, get business card, fill in the form, please, and make sure you have a wonderful time today, talking to each other, trying to make your contacts. And there's more refreshment, tea and coffee and water and everything available, so you can stay and connect as much as you want and speak to all members. Thank you very much for coming, and I'd like to give a warm welcome to Hilton Hotel. Thank you to them, because they've been very, very good at taking us and providing us with lovely support. So thank you everyone, have a lovely journey back.